Hello, welcome to this week's horsemanship lesson. Today we're going to talk about the who, what, where, when, why, and how of hoof picking. So we'll do a video on the front and then I'll do a separate one on the back because it's just a little bit different in the technique. So the who is horses. We need to pick their hooves on a regular basis. The when is before and after every ride. Before, so you can make sure you're getting all of the debris out of their hooves before they have to put impact on that hoof. And after, so that any debris that might be in their hooves after you ride is out before they go back to their stall. And that needs to be done at least 3 times a week. So if you're only riding once a week, you have to make sure you come out and do it a few extra times. When poop and wet soil and mud gets jammed into a horse's hoof, even if there's not debris like rocks, the poop and that wet material can cause a degradation of the horse's hoof. So that is called thrush, when bacteria and fungus grows in there. And it'll actually break down the hoof wall and lead to, like I said, a degradation. But what it looks like is the hoof is just literally kind of caving in, and as you dig your hoof pick, you're getting a little hole in there. So anyhow, that can lead to abscesses and the ease of a horse to step on a rock and get a really bad bruise or a puncture wound because the hoof integrity has been compromised. So the who is horses. The when is before and after every ride, at least 3 times a week. The why is to prevent hoof degradation. And the how is the bulk of the video that we're going to talk about today. So we stand next to our horse's hoof with our feet relatively close. I can't stand far away, even if I'm nervous about getting my toes stepped on, because their hoofs don't swing out like our feet do. So if you look at my foot when it's up in the air, I can pull it out, but a horse can't. Their hip and their knee don't work that way. So we need to stand close enough so that as I'm next to her hoof and pick it up, I don't need her to swing her hoof over towards me. So my feet are about shoulder width apart, pretty close to her hooves. I have some bend in my knees, so I'm able to sustain the weight. And I start with my hand all the way up in her armpit. That's really, really important. There is a pressure point that's activated as I slide my hand down that will kind of make their leg lift up. So I start up in the armpit, and as I slide my hand down, I apply a decent amount of pressure towards the inside of her leg. And kind of the massaging of that ligament in here is the pressure point I'm talking about. So if you see when I'm kind of putting pressure way up here, she's already starting to lift her hoof up. And I intentionally chose Pearl because she's one of the most challenging to get her hoof up. But if I start high and I put that pressure all the way down, it makes it pretty easy to get it up. Keeping it up can be another challenge. If you saw right when she got it up, she kind of tried to jerk it away. It's really important that I don't let her jerk it away, or it rewards her for pulling it out of my hand and teaches her that she doesn't actually have to keep it up. She can just kind of pull it out. So I'm going to show you that part one more time in the two-handed method, which is how I teach most kids. So with the two-handed method, I put my hoof pick down in between my feet. I move my feet next to her hoof. So even though her hoof's a little far back, I don't start out here, I start right next to it again. And if she moves, I move. So now with the two-handed method, I have this hand ready to come down and grab the top of that hoof as it comes up. So there, she almost got it out of my hand, but that second hand, my right hand, was able to come in and secure it. So now, where I hold my hand is right on the underside of her hoof. I don't hold the pastern. If you went through our horse anatomy lessons last week, you'll know what the pastern is. So the palm of my hand holds right square in the middle of her hoof. And now I reach down and grab my pick. So it's really important now that I remember not to pull her hoof out. so it's not uncomfortable for her to keep it up. And it's important that I keep the height of the hoof higher than the height of her knee. So as I lower her hoof down below her knee, you can see how she's just naturally wanting to pick it up and out. So when the horse's hoof gets down at or below their knee, it encourages them to put it down to the ground. So having my hoof up nice and high might be a challenge on my squat and heavy on my back, but it's really important in keeping it up. So now when it comes to the actual picking part, I hold it like this, so it's facing the back, and I have a lot of push power. And I dig right into the bars, as they're called. So I'm going to push my pick way up here in the corner. I'm gonna push it down really hard. And I have to dig in here where her bar is. And if you can see, she actually has kind of a hidden crevice in here, which is pretty normal for hooves. And it really increases the susceptibility of her to get thrush inside of that little crack. So I need to make sure that my pick is getting any gunk, any poop out of that kind of hidden little crevice. And hopefully she'll have a little bit of thrush so you guys can see what that looks like. So I dug into what's called the bars, and then I dig my pick into the edge of her horseshoe all the way around. And the brush really isn't for getting gunk out. It's just for clearing the loose debris that I just knocked off out so that I can get in there and really see what it looks like. So we talked about thrush and the degradation of the hoof and how it kind of sloughs away as you dig it. When you see my hoof pick kind of dig right in here, and there's that white chalky substance, that's a sign that she has some mild thrush in here. Right over there in the corner when I dig my pick, she has a little bit more on the edge of her horseshoe, and she has a little right here. So, and as she's struggling to get her hoof out of my hand, as I talked about before, it's really important that I don't let her pull that out, or the next time I go to pick it up, she's just gonna think that she doesn't need to respect my request and just put it right down to the ground. So anyhow, she has a little bit of thrush. It looks like she could use some treatment, which is just a thrush buster or a mixture of sugar and betadine. There's a number of home remedies that are just pretty cheap and easy that you can spray or paint on. We use a product called copper sulfate, which is an antifungal, antibacterial. So anyhow, now that I have it picked and I want to give her some relief, when I let it down, it's important that I'm the one that lets it down, and I don't just drop it, nor do I just let her pull it out of my hand. So thanks for watching our front hoof tutorial. Next coming up will be our back hooves.